Yes, hello everyone, Falter Ashkady, Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another weekend review show here on Cúilín Media with me, Seamus Brady, and Liam White. Liam, talk about a weekend where the club championship absolutely exploded into life. You look at the football alone, Cuala and Kilmacud Crokes both gone in the one day at Parnell Park. Crazy stuff. And then around the country, Éire Óg Ennis making history in the Clare Hurling Championship, first title since 1990. Just so much to discuss. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I think this was a weekend that just made me appreciate the club championship even more. Like I love the inter-county season, and I love watching going to Offaly games. And as a neutral, you love watching Kerry footballers, Dublin footballers, the Kilkenny hurlers or the Cork hurlers, whatever. But for me, there's just something about the club championship. The weekend that we had all over the country, the results we had, some of the games that were on display. Some of the shocks that we had as well was unbelievable. Some cracking games all over the country. Really looking forward to delving into it. And I think for a start, myself and Matthew are walking away from this weekend thinking, thank God, because we both our clubs did not have it easy this weekend anyway. But thankfully, we're both still happy. We're both still in our respective championships. So looking forward to getting into it.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to go with a new system for running through all of the games, everything like that. I've told Liam it's a stop the bus style system where if you haven't followed Cúilín Media on Instagram, please go give it a follow right now, or follow Matthew's page as well, because he is throwing up all of the results from across the weekend on the Cúilín Media page and on the Gaelic Statsman Instagram page. But I'm just going to read them out, starting with Sunday's results, and Liam is going to do us the favour of saying stop the bus whenever we want to dive deep. But Liam, for the first one, I don't need to even for 1 second ask you if you want to stop the bus here. We're going to start off with the Clare Senior Hurling Championship final. Éire Óg Ennis, 17 points. Cloney Quinn, 12 points. We're going to jump in with that one in just a second. But if you are new onto the show and we have a good, healthy number watching, which we appreciate you all, take advice here from Garrod O'Gracon, Peter Griffin, and Pádraig Lennon. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are on the weekend's action. Jer coming in here saying, well, I did call the Clare Senior Hurling Championship for Éire Óg Ennis after the quarterfinals, and I also said that if they won, they would be contenders for the Munster Club Championship. Watch this space. Shane O'Donnell's CV now reads 2 All-Irelands, 2 National Leagues, 3 All-Stars, 1 All-Ireland final, 1 Man of the Match, 1 Hurler of the Year, one county medal. Will he win a senior Munster Club medal or county? You wouldn't put it past him. And Jared, just as a Clare man, I remember I asked you this once in person. I'd love your answer on it again. Would you rather that Clare were to win Munster next year, so O'Donnell fills out his CV, or would you rather Clare were to win the All-Ireland? If you could only have one. I'd love to get your answer on that. Peter says, Shea super comms and the Dubs. Thank you very, very much, Peter. It was a big day. It was joined by Abby Shields on the co-coms, obviously Dublin goalkeeper who has, multiple All-Irelands, one of the best keepers in the game right now. And she's an absolute legend, and it was a pleasure to be on co-coms with her. And a great final. Kate Sullivan nearly stole it at the end for St. Sylvester's, but it went up and over the bar, and Kilmacud Crokes got over the line for their 4th title in a row, which we will get onto. But we are going to start with the Clare Senior Hurling Championship final. Éire Óg Ennis, 17 points. Cloney Quinn, 12 points. Éire Óg win their first title since 1990. Liam, what a result.
Yeah, fantastic result. It was brilliant to see 2 clubs in this final that hadn't won it for a long time, because it makes it a small bit extra special. Nothing against, the teams that had won it over the last number of years, like your Clonlaras, etc., but or your Fecals that won it last year after a long time. But it's just nice to see, you knew that either way today there was going to be big joy, massive ecstasy, but on the other side there was going to be massive regret, and that's probably what Cloney Quinn are going to feel this evening. I suppose their second half probably kind of let them down in a way. They had 8 points by halftime and they finished with 12 in the end. 4 points in the second half. It just, they'll know themselves isn't good enough. And even when you look at the scores that they had throughout the game, Peter Duggan scored 9 out of their 12 points. There was a lot of reliance on him throughout the game. You feel there was only 3 other players that got 1 point each for them. So that's probably where they got let down massively there. But for Éire Óg, yeah, first title since 1990, 35 years in the waiting is absolutely fantastic for them. It was a nervy enough first half. Éire Óg led 9 points to 8 at half time. But David Reedy, what more can you say about him? He's one of the most underrated hurlers in the country, I think. When he is on form, he is on form. And yeah, he was outstanding, especially in the second half. Shane O'Donnell, he got 2 points in. He's the type of player that you need to be keeping two men on at all times, to be honest with you, because he's that good with driving with the ball and getting the ball in his hands when he really shouldn't. And he's a great playmaker of a ball as well. So, yeah, himself, Oren Cahill as well, had a great game, scored 2 points. Cleary got 4 points as well. Russell got 5 points. So, yeah, fantastic afternoon for Éire Óg to end their drought, 35 years in the waiting. And, yeah, like you mentioned there, for Shane O'Donnell to have that sort of a CV, it's absolutely unbelievable. I feel like if you were to ask a lot of Clare people, they probably would say the Munster title, maybe just because winning the All-Ireland, he's got 2 of them, and winning the All-Ireland is the ultimate goal. But there's just something about the Munster Championship, especially for Clare people, that they would just absolutely love it, especially after losing the 3 finals in a row over the last couple of years. But back to the club scene anyway, it's brilliant for Éire Óg. And look, they won't be obviously thinking about, they absolutely will not be thinking about the Munster Championship tonight, much like was it Darragh Donovan said last year, I won't be sober till Friday, when they won it last year for Doon. But yeah, look, it's brilliant for them. It's fantastic to see new champions, and it's commiserations to Clooney Quinn. You know, it's a shame for them that they have to wait another year, but I've no doubt that they'll be back again potentially next year. And it's great for Éire Óg as well, because they're going for a double next week as well. So yeah, fantastic achievement for them. Congrats to them.
Oh no, it's unbelievable stuff. And Jer's saying as well here, it says also my home club, Clare Castle, qualified for the Clare Intermediate Final, where we're playing O'Callaghan Mills. Time to retake our rightful place in the Senior Championship. Big congrats, Jer, and wish you all the best in that final. On top of that, we are going to run through some other comments here. Jer has answered my question. He says, I want Shane O'Donnell and Tony Kelly to win a Munster medal. So while they are playing, I'd rather win Munster. But when they retire, it's all Ireland's all day long. Very, very good answer. I think it'd be interesting as well to see, like, imagine asking the same question to like Kieran McGeeney as our man manager. Would you rather win, if you could only win one, would you rather win an Ulster or would you rather win another All Ireland? Because I think if you look at it, like, he looked so hurt when they lost the Ulster to Donegal this year. When it all kicked off in full time, like, you could tell that one really hurt, because just that sense that, like, this is never going to happen, is it? Like, that like, you've lost again in such a heartbreaking fashion. And I thought that their time had come to win Ulster. I picked them to win that time. And look, that was on a knife edge. It could have gone either way. But so breaking down then, obviously, Éire Óg, they finally smashed through that glass ceiling. Sorry, what am I thinking? Ceiling. But anyway, with it, give me a break. It's been a long day. But with Éire Óg finally smashing that glass ceiling. So they've finally done it. They've broken through that glass ceiling. How do you see them now going into the Munster Championship? Because there's some sharks in there against them, namely the likes of Ballygunner. How do you see Éire Óg matching up against them and potentially beyond?
Yeah, well, look, you're going to have some very tough competition, like you mentioned there, in the Munster Club Championship. It's not easy to win, as we've seen over the last number of years. Ballygunner won 3 in a row. Sarsfields broke that ceiling last year by, I wouldn't even say surprising them, because to me they were the far better side from the very start of that games. But I suppose a surprise from the fact that a lot of people would have anticipated Ballygunner to win that game. But I mean, when you look at the side of the draw they're on, I believe they play the Tipperary champions in the semi-final, and they'll be playing them in Zimmer Biomet. I'm doing a Matthew on it, but yeah, they're going to be playing them in Clare that on the weekend of the 16th. I think it's the 16th of November. So, and like, you'd absolutely fancy them if they have a home semi-final. Then there's absolutely no reason why they couldn't go and reach a final. Clonlara reached the final a couple of years ago. Fecal put up a good challenge to Sarsfields last year as well in the semi-final down in Cork. So look, regardless of if it's Nina Éire Óg, it could ironically be Éire Óg against Éire Óg in the semi-final, which would be fairly ironic, to be honest with you. But yeah, it could be Nina Éire Óg, it could be Lockmore, Castleiney, could be Drummond Inch as well. Obviously, Holy Cross, Ballycahill are there as well. So it'd be a very interesting setup. Do I think they're strong enough maybe to win Munster just with the teams that are remaining? Maybe just a bit off at the moment. Obviously, look, Ballygunner would be seen as probably the favourites at the moment. I'm still backing Doon to win the Munster Championship. They had a great win today, which we'll get on to in a while, but they had another great win today. I still think they're very, very strong. They could have a strong campaign this year. The winners of Ballygunner, Doon, for me, could be potentially the winner. You obviously have Sarsfields and Middleton from Cork now, be very tough opponents as well. So, look, there's certainly an opportunity there for them to reach a final. There's no question about that. I don't think they'd actually fear anyone of the Tipperary, anyone from Tipperary, whoever comes out of it in a couple of weeks' time. But and it's going to be a great occasion for them as well, that their first game in the Munster Championship, or well, for them, hoping that their first game in the Munster Championship is going to be in Cúilín Park as well. So they'll be hoping to get a big crowd behind them there. And as well as that, they have well over a month now to get themselves prepared. Now in a way that could be a good thing, in that you have a month to reset, you have time to celebrate as well, because they're going to celebrate over the next couple of days, and it's a chance for them to get a load of challenge matches in as well over the next couple of weeks. But it can also, it's a long wait as well, whereas the Tipperary, they're only in the semi-finals, and I think they're taking place next weekend, so they'll have a few more weeks to get themselves match sharp going into the semi-finals. But I'd absolutely fancy them no matter what, no matter who comes out of Tipperary. It's going to be a tough challenge, but it's going to be a great weekend for them to have a home match as well.
It certainly will. That brings up an interesting debate, in terms of that's one of the problems with the club championships being on such different schedules. And I'm not saying that Clare need to move theirs forward or Tipperary need to move theirs back or anything like that. I'm not saying that anybody is in particular in the wrong in any of these situations. But what I am saying is that by having the club championships running on completely different schedules, you end up with teams having to manage these like weird periods where they're out, like they've won their club championship and they have to wait a certain period of time for their next game, while whoever comes out of Tipperary will be match sharp and ready. They're not going to need to play any challenge games. They're going to be right there. Whereas Éire Óg now are going to have to, manage out, as you said. They're going to have to, get some challenge games in. They're going to have to manage out and make sure they don't overtrain or anything like that. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how they manage that. Quick question from Smart Parents 812. I'll answer this and then we'll talk about it a little bit later. We say Hootie is back to win the Dublin final. I've said from the start that I think that Ballyboden are going to win Leinster. They're in the Dublin final. They have to win the Dublin final to win Leinster, so I'm going to stick with my pick for them to do that. But I can tell Pádraig Lennon here in the comments wants us to talk about the Roscommon Championship, so we are going to do that next. But massive congratulations to Éire Óg Ennis on their first Clare title since 1990. And now let's jump into the Roscommon Championship. Pádraig here says Pearse's Bridget's county final, the final that everyone wanted. Whoever wins that will nearly be favourites to win the All-Ireland, he says. Very, very, very big statement. But one thing you cannot argue, Liam, is Pearse has looked imperious against Filox. Like, that's a team that has the Murtha brothers up front. They made light work of them. Bridges today against Clonagale, a little bit more of an even game. But in terms of the two big names in the Roscommon Championship, the two ones that have been kind of ever-present in terms of, Connacht's success and pushing on to have a crack at the All-Ireland, Pádraig Pearses and St. Bridget's are probably the two biggest names over the last decade. So them two going up against each other in a Roscommon final, it won't be a bad day out.
No, it absolutely won't be. I didn't get to see much of Bridget's game today, so I don't know much about it. I know a bit more about Pádraig Pearse's win yesterday, and thank God for my sake, because my prediction still stands, because a lot of them have gone down this weekend anyway, so at least this one is still sticking. But look, from what I saw of Pádraig Pearse's yesterday, wow, like absolutely savage to go in. Excuse me. Like, this is the ironic thing. It was 5 points each after the opening 15 minutes. And then at halftime, there was an 11-point gap. Like, that final 15 minutes for Féileacht must have been just disastrous, to be honest with you. To concede 2-7 in the space of the final 15 minutes, like, that must sting for them, to be honest with you. It's an unbelievable performance from Pádraig Pearse. They'll absolutely be fancying their chances now to go on and win the Roscommon title, and putting out a statement potentially for the Connacht Championship. Look, they have to win the Roscommon title first, but I think Bridget's, even watching them yesterday, be thinking we have a challenge on our hands now in a couple of weeks' time. But looking at the game, anyways, look, Pearses were absolutely unbelievable. Owen Colleran got 2 goals and a point. Conor Ryan, Jack Tumulty, Declan Kenny got their goals for them as well. Paul Carey, Hubert Darcy, Colin Ryan were fantastic as well. And yeah, look, they were just on top right from the start. They were 2-18 to 8 points up after the 43rd minute. Like, the game was well and truly gone from Féileacht at that point. And look, it's a fantastic performance, and it puts out a bold statement, to be honest with you. To be winning a semi-final by 18 points is huge. It just shows you where their intentions are. They probably still have, I keep using this word a lot about certain clubs from last year, but I just feel like there was a lot of clubs last year that have regrets about some of the way their seasons ended last year. And I feel like Pearses are one of those teams. Losing the Connacht final in the way they did in the position that they were in as well, I feel like they have some serious unfinished business. Now, look, Bridget's will be tough. They absolutely will be. But I think if you're scoring 520 and you're wrapping up a semi-final very, very comfortably by, you could say halftime, but certainly by at least the 45th minute of the game, then you're looking really, really well. And especially against a team that, like you mentioned, there has Diarmuid Murtagh, has Conor Kennelly, some players like this, some really, really top-class players. They've done really, really well. So look, I'm glad my prediction is still sticking. And after yesterday, I'm confident enough that Pierces will be able to get the job done in the final.
Yeah, no, it is well said there. I think you look at it, when you were talking about the teams that would regret the way that their seasons finished, like Pádraig Pearses for me are top of the list. Like they've completely fell asleep behind the wheel against Clare Strandhill, and Clare pulled them back when in position. I remember the shot from Kevin Banks that went over. That was absolutely unbelievable. That would be, a nailed on 2-pointer in today's world. And it was an unbelievable score. And they were seconds away from doing it. But the reality is, I think they went 4 points ahead at one stage. They got a goal, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember watching it being like, okay, they're home and hose now. And
Same.
I think that they thought they were home and hose. And Clare just played the panto villain that day, kind of tapped them on the shoulder and were like, no, not over yet. But they've returned. You have to give them serious credit because they've returned with a vengeance. Like you're putting up a score like that in a semi-final of a county championship is a real statement. And look, against Bridget's, none of that matters. You go into the final, you can be in the form of your life and you can fall away in the final. And Bridget's could turn them over. But I would make them slight favourites to beat more experience over the last few years of getting over the line. Bridget's had a good run in the 2 seasons ago when they eventually lost to Glen in the final. But last year was slightly disappointment from their perspective. But it'll be really, really interesting to see. Really, really. And I do agree with Pádraig in terms of, I think whoever does come out of this has to be taken serious as a potential All-Ireland contender. We've seen Pierces really, really have a good go. We've seen Bridges get to a final. They won one 15 years ago. So they have the prestige in terms of like they are a club who aren't alien to winning the All-Ireland Club Championship. That does get a donkey off the back in terms of like metaphorical. If you're not crossing into new ground for a club, it does give you a little bit of confidence if players coaches have been there before and done it. So there is interest there. Pádraig says Pierce's club man here. Conor Harley is back from injury and Niall Daly. Full squad back, not being biased, but if we win the final, we could win Connacht again. I would say it's, if they can get, like if Pierce's can win, I think it's between them and whoever comes out of Galway. I think the Mayo clubs haven't really done too much in the Connacht Championships over the last few seasons. And I think Clare just came from nowhere last year. I really didn't see that coming at all. And I think if you were saying that you did, I think you're lying. I think you're lying because Pierce has had that game and they fucked it away. Like they really they completely took their eye off the ball. And if they were going to, like if they had kept up the same level that they were at in that entire game up until that point, if they had put in the performance that they put in against Curragh Finn in the semi-final, Pierces would have won. Like they were under the weather that day, and that's how they turned them over. Peter says, remember when Kate Curran played for Bridget's, the OG Maverick? Absolutely. Shane Curran, that's why when he was hired, he is a Maverick. Like that's why when he was hired as Carlow manager, I was like, that is the most wild card appointment I think I've ever seen. Hiring Kate as an intercounty manager, and I'm not surprised it didn't last very long. Pádraig Lennon saying Claren Bridge we're so unlucky not to beat Loughrea. On top of that, we were lucky here. I think did Peter say this? Oh yeah, bit of a scare for St. Thomas's in Galway quarterfinal, only beat Tommy Larkins by 2 points. So, and Pádraig saying, yeah, our lads threw it away last year in the Connacht final. Should have won by 10, had 14 wides and 6 dropped into the keeper's hands. Technically 20 missed opportunity. I mean, that says it all, really, doesn't it? Like if you're racking up that, you can't really say that you didn't throw it away. And that's why they have unfinished business. But the testament of every team is, do you come back stronger? And so far, they look pretty damn close to that. Anyway, we're going to move on. So that's the Clare Senior Hurling covered and the Roscommon football. And now we're going to play our first game, Stop the Bus. So we have the Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals.
Stop the bus.
Yeah, right there. Middleton, Middleton 29 points, Blackrock 125 after extra time. They get into the final by a point. And Sarsfield's 122, St. Finbarr's 218. 2 1-point victories. I mean, the Cork Senior Hurling Championship semi-final certainly delivered Middleton and Sarsfield both into the final by the skin of their teeth, both by a point. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. And like we said, Matthew will be absolutely buzzing tonight. So congrats to him, first of all. His club, Sarsfields are in another final to look forward to in 2 weeks' time, a repeat of the 23 final against Middleton. Yeah, the 23 final against Middleton. So yeah, I think that should be a cracking game. St. Finbarr's, you'd have to feel for them though. Like genuinely would. 6 points up at half time. They were 2-12 to 1-9 up. Brian Hayes got a goal. William Buckley got a goal as well. Ben Cunningham was doing well in the first half from frees. And yeah, like at that point, I was thinking, okay, Sarsfields, they're in a bit of a bubble here, but they can come back. You know, they've been the best side in Cork for the last number of years. Obviously, I know McKilly won it last year, but they've been the best side really in Cork the last couple of years. So they should still be able to come back into this game. And look, they did, to be fair to them. Jack O'Connor inspired their second half comeback. He got 4 points in the second half. Also, Brian Murphy had a strong display as well. SARS really turned the tide as well. Colin McCarthy finished with 11 points. So, yeah, it's an unbelievable turnaround from Sarsfield, you know, to be 6 points down at halftime and to show that never say die attitude. You know, when you have the likes of Jack O'Connor scoring 4 points, Colin McCarthy scoring 11. I think he got three from play, or could have been 2. I think it was 3 from play anyway. Cian Darcy getting 3 points as well. So yeah, a lot of players chipping in there with points from play, which is exactly what you need. Brian Hayes finishing with 1-1 probably might be maybe a small bit disappointed with that, but you know, it shows that how strong he is, that he's getting a goal as well. You know, really, really strong performance still. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one for St. Finbarr's to take, really. But I think Sarsfield's depth showed as well, to be honest with you, and probably that little bit of experience. I know it's a bit rich to be saying that, considering all 4 teams this weekend were teams that have won the championship in the last 5 years. But Sarsfields have done it more recently, and they won the Munster title last year. They reached an All-Ireland final, and they got over a really tough Schlock-Neil test in the semi-finals as well, and they showed their mental reserve to do that. So I feel like that kind of helps them in a way. I think what Crowley's done, as well as Sarsfield's manager, has been absolutely fantastic. And if he could win them another county title in a couple of weeks' time, they might build a statue for him, to be honest with you. He's done an unbelievable job. And then Middleton's one, yeah. I've a friend who works for the Echo, Jack McKay, who's a proud Middleton man. So shout out to him. I'd say he's absolutely buzzing this evening, because he wasn't too sure about coming into the season for Middleton, but now they have a third final to look forward to in the space of 5 seasons to look forward to now. Because I felt like they threw away the semi-final against Sarsfields last year. Obviously, they lost by a point, or I think it was a 2 points or 1 point in 23 as well. They won it in 21. So I feel like they still feel like they have unfinished business as well in the Cork Championship. And I mean, we mentioned it the other day, if Blackrock can get a hold of Conor Lehane, then they have a great chance of winning this game. But of course, who was the man that came up with the late winner? Conor Lehane. Absolutely. It just had to be him. He finished with 13 points. He got 4 from play. Obviously got the point at the end. Just an unbelievable way to finish the game out. There were some other strong performers as well. Pat White scored 7 points. There was strong defensive performance as well from the likes of Owen Maloney and Tommy O'Connell, who I feel might get a lot more opportunities next year with Cork. Next year for Cork. Anyways, I feel like he maybe didn't get as much opportunities this year as he possibly could have. But look, we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, for Alan Connolly, he did so much for Blackrock today. He scored 114, and it still wasn't enough. Like, that just tells you, like, you can put in the performance of your life and still come away on the wrong side. It's a really tough one to take. And as well, like, you got to give it to Middleton. Like, Sarsfields were 6 points down at halftime. I think Middleton were 6 points down at halftime as well. You know, so the two of them today coming back from 6 points down to turn these 2 games around, it's absolutely fantastic to see. Alan Connolly forced extra time, but then Lehane came up with a free at the end. So yeah, I think it's a cracking final. We're looking forward to Middleton and Sarsfields. I think it's very, very hard to call. They've been neck and neck the last couple of years. 2 very evenly matched teams. Obviously, you're going to be pinpointing the likes of Jack O'Connor. They need to watch out for McCarthy, Conor Lehane, these types of players that you're going to have to watch out for. Brian Saunderson in the nets for Middleton as well. Very experienced keeper. Tommy O'Connell at the back. So yeah, it's going to be a cracking final to look forward to in 2 weeks' time. And I think it's a very hard one to call.
Oh, you've summed it up there really well. Don't know if there's much more I can add to it, but yeah, I'm delighted. I'm delighted for Matthew. Obviously, he's involved with the SARS backroom team. Delighted for them that they're back in the final. And just on top of that, like, they look like they're gearing up for another run. Obviously, they won the Munster last year in unbelievable fashion, beating Ballygunner. They obviously want to go through the front door this time. They didn't win the Cork Championship, losing to the final team of Killy, but they want to do it this year. And against Middleton in the final, it should be a cracker. Like, no mistake, but it should be an absolute belter. But yeah, we're going to move then to Kildare first, because Peter has been throwing it in, and we do listen to the comments, guys. If you want us to discuss any championship in particular, especially if it's on the results on the Cúilín Media Instagram page, throw it in the comments here. Peter says, high drama in the Kildare semi between SARS and Athy. Athy were leading by a point, 64th minute on the clock. SARS had the chance to take it to extra time, but SARS had went for a pile driver and the keeper saved. And that was the Kildare semi-finals. Naas 120, Selbridge 13 points, Athy 214, Sarsfields 213. So it will be Naas against Athy in the Kildare Senior Football Championship final. And Naas obviously have been the team to beat in Kildare for years. Athy have battled their way into a final, beating Sarsfields. Can Athy finally end the Naas dynasty in Kildare, or are they just too strong?
I feel like Naas are probably still too strong. I saw clips of their game, their semi-final today, and they still looked very good. A bit of I wouldn't say shaky start, probably an even enough start. But once they got control of the game, they never looked out of sight, or they looked out of sight, to be honest with you. They looked like the much better side. I just think Naas at the moment, both in hurling and football, they're so dominant in both codes, and I still think they're one of the few clubs across the country that have a genuine say in winning. Like, you look at the likes of Schlockneil, who as well won their 13th Derry title in a row this weekend, which is an unbelievable achievement for them, but they're a club that could win a dual title. Obviously, Nafina won the hurling last year, when they're in the Dublin final this year. Kilmacud Crokes, these types of teams are all teams that could win a double, both in their counties and provincials, whatever. And Naas are absolutely one of them. And Naas last year will have, again, I keep using the word, but they'll have regrets about losing to Cuala the way they did last year at home. I feel like they still feel like they went out a bit tamely against St. Martin's in the hurling last year. So I feel like Naas this year will be looking at both the hurling and the football championships and thinking, we got to set some rights this year. And look, I think at the moment, I just think Athy will give it their absolute best. There's absolutely no question about that. And I think they'll put up a huge battle to them. And of course, when you've got the likes of David Hyland in your team, Kevin Feely in your team, Niall Kelly, I think he got 2-2 today or something like that. Like, you're going to be fairly strong. But I just think Naas at the moment, some of the football they're playing as well. They won today's semi-final, kind of like Port Pierce's, with a bit comfortably, like, or not even comfortably, but just like they never looked like they were going to lose. And that's a sign of a really good team. So I think look, Athy would give it a good shout, but I just think Naas should still be too strong to win the Kildare title.
Yeah, I probably would say that Naas still will be too hard to move. And they do obviously, like, you look at the Leinster game last year against Cuala, and Alex Byrne got that late goal, and all of a sudden it was like Naas woke up. Like, it was like, but they'd left it too late. They'd let Cuala boss the game. And I feel like they do have unfinished business with the Leinster Championship, because they haven't really been able to take it to that next step. In terms of, they've usually come unstuck against whoever comes out of Dublin. So that's the one that they want to go with. Peter says, shout out to Grange Novan in Kildare. Junior champs for the first time in 20 years. Was 40 years before that when they won it first. Really small rural club. Aidan here as well says, Carrie Duff versus Kilcoo in the Down Senior Football Championship final. Carrie Duff are on the up. Close game with Clonduff in the semi tonight. We will jump. Was that on today, those Down games? Just while Aidan is watching, I'll read.
Not 100% sure now. I'll have
let me have a look through Matthew's post.
This is the problem.
Yes,
there's too many
games. Yes, they were. Yes, there's so many games. Like, lads, dead serious. I don't know how Matthew does it. But yes, Aidan, we will go into them now. Carried off 20 points, Byrne a goal and 9, Kilcoo 115, Clonduff 17 points. So carried off against Kilcoo in the final. And similar to what's going on in Kildare with Naas, the big question in Down is always, can anybody stop Kilcoo? And you've seen examples over the previous years. I remember the final against Byrne last season where you're looking at Burns' team and you're seeing, they've got Danny McGill in there, they've got Oran Murdoch in there. Maybe they can put it up to them. Nope, absolutely not. Kilcoo annihilated them, and they see, just when you think that a club might have come along in the past, just when you think a club might have come along that can actually, finally end the Kilcoo dynasty, Kilcoo lay down another marker. So can Carryduff finally be the ones to end it? And Aidan, I'd love to get your opinions on this and some background info from yourself.
Well, Kilcoo, I was only just looking briefly there to see how many times in a row they've won the Down Championship. It's amazing. The last time they'd won the title before they won it in 2009 was 1937. And then since 2012, they won it in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So that's what, six in a row?
Yeah.
Six in a row. And then they've won it. They lost it in 18. They lost it in 18 to Burns St. Mary's. And then since then, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. Like, that is absolutely, and to lose it in 2018 as well, like, that is absolutely outrageous, to be honest with you. The last time they met in a final, Kilcoo won by 7 points, 16 points to 9. That was the COVID year, 2020. So, and look, I haven't been keeping as much of a close eye on the Down Championship as I probably should be over the last few months. But judging by those results there today, Kilcoo certainly didn't have it easy anyways. There's no question about that. And they'll certainly have it tough in the final against Carryduff, who, an 8-point victory, putting up 20 points over Burn is very, very good going.
Yeah, no, it's serious stuff. And we do need to kind of pick it up a little bit because I'm looking at it. If we're half an hour in and we haven't even got halfway through the games on Sunday, we still have Saturday and Friday to go. Yeah, we're going to move on to what took place in the Dublin Championship today, because Jesus Christ, did this shake the championship up. You want to talk about a day that shook up the club championship. Kilmacud Crokes and the reigning All-Ireland champions Cuala both dunked out in the semi-finals of the Dublin Football Championship on the same day in Parnell Park today. I was there for it. Unbelievable atmosphere, unbelievable wins for both Na Fianna and Ballybowden. And that's your Dublin final for 2025. Incredible. Talk about shaking up the club championship.
Absolutely. And even before we go into it in a bit more depth, which is more of a surprise for you, Kilmacud being out or Cuala? As a dub.
Very good question. For me, you see, I picked Ballybowden to win Leinster. So I picked Bowden to beat Cuala. I had picked Bowden to beat Cuala. But when I was at the game, and I genuinely mean this, when I was at the game, it seemed like Cuala were going to win. They had it in the bag. And then Dara Sweeney kicked an absolutely outrageous goal. Scored an unbelievable goal. And all of a sudden it was like, right, fucking game on here. Like, all of a sudden everyone in the ground was like, this is actually on for Bowden. Like, Cuala have failed to put them away. They had them, exactly where they want them. And they just, then when you can tell the tide is turning, because immediately after the goal, Cuala went down the other end and missed a fairly easy chance to get a point back. And you're just like, it's turning here. Like, and then Bowden, I think it was Luke O'Donoghue, I could be wrong, kicked an unbelievable 2-pointer. And all of a sudden it's like Bowden are going to get level with them for sure. And then Scollard, or I don't know, was it Ryan Scollard, but whoever was in goal for Cuala today, I think it might have been Darragh O'Dowd, kicked one out to his wing back. And the minute he kicked it, you were like, he's not winning this. There was about 7 Bowden lads that had converged around him. They turn him over, they get the ball in, bang, another goal. And all of a sudden it's Ballybowden are through to the Dublin final. So while, yes, I picked right at the start that Bowden would win, with 10 minutes to go, I didn't think Bowden were going to win. I thought Cuala had it. And they looked really sharp, Cuala. They looked, Peter Duffy, I thought, was superb. Charlie McMorrow was brilliant. David O'Dowd was really, really good. Paddy O'Coffey-Byrne was brilliant at midfield. Con was doing his thing up front. Niall O'Callaghan looked good. Like, you were looking at Cuala thinking, not only do I think that they look good in this game to win Dublin, they look pretty good to go on another charge for more silverware. They don't look as leggy as I thought they would. But in the last minute, Bowden just hunted them in packs and absolutely were unbelievable. So, honest answer, I'm more surprised by Na Fianna's win over Kilmacud. I'm more surprised by the fact that Na Fianna beat Kilmacud, because you have to look at it in the context of this. Nafina's first game of the championship, they played Ballyboden and they were wiped. They 4-23 to 3-9 they lost. And I thought, look, there's some years where clubs just aren't really at it. There's some years where some clubs just, whatever is going on, they're not really at it. And I thought maybe this is the year where Nafina just aren't really at the races in the football. There's no doubting the talent that they have, but maybe this is the year where they're just kind of going for the hurling and they don't really give two shits about the football. But then they came back in round 2 and they absolutely dusted St. Vincent's off. And I was thinking, okay, no, they are actually taking this serious. Won a very hard fought game against Ballantyre to get out of the group and then fought all the way against Ballymun Kickham's to get into the semi-finals. But then I was thinking, look, they're going up against Kilmacud Crokes. I don't see them winning that game. And just being in the stadium, the grit that Nafina were showing going down the home stretch was it was pretty eye-opening. Like there was one where Johnny Cooper went for a ball and he ends up with blood pouring down his head. And he didn't give a fuck. Like he was like refusing to come off and like he just didn't care. And eventually they managed to get him to go off. But like I don't think he even realized for a few minutes that his head was gushing blood, and then people pointed it out to him and tried to get him off as a blood sub. But there was a steely determination about Nafina that reminded me of the kind of 2021 Nafina team where they lost to Crokes in the final by a point. They were really, really tough to beat. And there's no question about it. They could turn Bowden over in the final. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Nafina beat Ballyboden in the final. Now I've said that I picked from the start that I think Bowden are going to win Leinster, and in the process they have to win Dublin. So I am going to stick with Bowden to do it. But Nafina are in a great place because they've just turned over Kilmacud Crokes, and they will probably still go into the Dublin final as underdogs. Like because the fact that Ballyboden have beaten Cuala, who are the All-Ireland champions. So they're in a great place. And it's a rematch against the team that dusted them off in round 1. So it's perfect for Nafina. They have a perfect chance for revenge, perfect chance to put right the wrongs of round 1.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And it's a fine, I laugh. Like the other day, we were all going through the discussion. I think me and Aaron had both said it would be a Cuala Kilmacud final. You'd obviously said Ballyboden would win. But I do remember saying, don't be surprised if it was a Nafina Ballyboden final, just because, you just have those weekends where the underdog in those games just rise up out of nowhere. And they certainly both did. Like, I don't know what it is with the comebacks this weekend. It's absolutely outrageous. We saw it in Cork and we've seen it now in Dublin over today, really. I was saying over the past weekend. They all happened today. But it's unbelievable for Nafina. Obviously, All-Ireland winners last year in the hurling and now in the Dublin football final this year. It's absolutely sensational. And there goes my prediction of Kilmacud winning Leinster anyway and winning Dublin. So that's great. A lot of my predictions are falling over the last. Ballymacarbery are gone this weekend as well. A lot of my predictions are gone.
Fuck's sake. And they didn't even put up a fight against
No, not one. Look, in fairness, how many was it? 42 or 43?
I think maybe they've earned some time off.
They're not giving me one more year, but anyways, I think it's brilliant for Dublin though, because it shows how competitive the championship is, that the two previous finalists and the two of the teams that have won All-Ireland over the last couple of years are not even reaching the final in Dublin. I think it shows how competitive it really is. So yeah, look, should be a cracking final. Really looking forward to it. Probably would still maybe back Ballyboden too, but at the same time, Nafina have an unbelievable opportunity at their hands. They could go and win the double, which would be unbelievable for them.
Yeah, like Nafina have a golden opportunity here. They have an unbelievable football team and an unbelievable hurling team, and they stand just 2 games away. I think they have an unbelievable opportunity, Nafina. They have a golden team in football and in hurling, and All-Ireland champions last year in the hurling. They are the front runners to win the hurling, no question about it. I do make them slight underdogs in the Dublin football final, just given the fact that Ballyboden bet them very handy on round 1. But that really doesn't matter coming into this game. Nafina have just turned over Kilmacud Crokes. They won't fear Bowden at all. And it's going to set up to be a cracking final. And if Nafina can do it, it's an incredible achievement, because you're right, the Dublin Championship is so competitive, both in football and in hurling. Like Nafina had to go through war to get past Cuala in the Dublin hurling quarterfinal. So it would be unbelievable if they could pull it off. And there's no question about it. Like, just being at the games today, I thought with 10 minutes to go that Cuala were going to win, and all of a sudden, unbelievable goal from Dara Sweeney, and then they get another goal, and just the atmosphere was electric. And Bowden turn over Cuala, who were unbelievable All-Ireland champions. It was an amazing run. But Cuala looked sharp, and then all of a sudden it fell away from them. And then for Nafina, I was just amazed with their determination, their ferocity, like going down the home stretch, like summed up by Johnny Cooper having to go off with, half a pint of blood pouring out of his head. Like, they were just so determined to get back to the football final. And now that they have an opportunity to put right the wrongs of round one against Ballybowden, because Bowden did beat them handy in round one, and that's one of the main reasons I am making Bowden favourites, plus the fact that I picked Bowden at the very beginning to win Leinster. But I think Nafina is a really dangerous matchup for Bowden now, because Nafina will want revenge for round one. They have an opportunity to complete the double, because I do think that in hurling they are the front runners too. It's going to be a cracking final. I'll shade it to Bowden, but my God, we've got a cracking final in the Dublin Championship on our hands this year. We have a question in here. First of all, Peter says Cuala and Crokes being taken out has to be the bag of rice in this year's club champo. Absolutely. John O'Kinahan says, have Nafina many dual players? They have like Conor McHugh, usually you'd imagine, like over the last few years, but he wasn't involved with the footballers this year. Donal Ryan is another one who's played for the hurlers and the footballers, but like the honest answer is no. Once you get up to Dublin and you see the clubs that are the size of Kilmacud, the size of Ballybowden, and the size of Nafina, there's two tiers now in Dublin in terms of the clubs. There's the clubs who have, that are big enough clubs, but they have basically the same players playing football and hurling. And then there's the fucking massive clubs like the Nafinas, the Ballybowdens, the Kilmacud Crokes, who have two different panels for football and hurling. Not only do Nafina not really have many dual players, neither do Bowden, neither do Kilmacud Crokes. Like Paul Mannion isn't playing hurling, Shane Walsh isn't playing hurling. And then, with that equal measure, Ronan Hayes isn't playing football. Brian Hayes isn't playing football. Like they kind of stick to their codes. I'm sure they're playing junior football or something like that, but they're not togging out for the seniors. And the reality is that that's the level it's got to now. And those clubs in Dublin are unbelievable. The one thing I will say this year that is a worry, look, it's a competitive championship, no question. But before the last four, the way that Ballybowden, Cuala and Kilmacud got to this stage, they walked past everyone. Like there wasn't a hand laid on them up until that stage. And I think closing that gap between like the top 3 or 4 or 5 and everybody else is important for the championship. But we'll see what happens over the next few years. We're going to pick up the pace a little bit because fucking hell, we're already at 43 minutes. But there's so much to talk about. I'm just looking at it here because the next one I go through, we have to stop the bus right here as well. The Limerick Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals. Like, Doon are back in the final and they have an opportunity to win it back-to-back now, beating Ballybrown 221 to 14 points, while Na Piarsaigh beat Kilmallock 220 to 117. So two fairly comfortable wins for Na Piarsaigh and Doon, and now they match up in the Limerick Hurling final with Doon looking to go back-to-back.
Yeah, looking to go back-to-back. Still backing them to win the Munster Club Championship. I think they're an excellent team. I think when you have a core spine of the likes of Pat Ryan, Darragh O'Donovan, and in particular Adam English, you have Eddie Stokes in there as well. Some really, really good players in amongst the Doon ranks. I just think they're playing such really good hurling. Sorry? Would
Richie English be in there with them as well?
Believe he was. I think, was he playing today? I'm not 100% sure. He was there last year anyways. Because I remember watching him. I was down at the Limerick final last year. I was covering it while I was down in college, and it was a cracking final to watch, especially with the conditions that they were playing in as well. And the way Adam English stood up for them that day, and some of the other players as well that stood up for them, the way they defended after conceding the 2 goals against Na Piarsaigh, which any other team would have folded, especially for a Doon side that never won the Limerick title before. But they're looking to start a bit of a dynasty now in Limerick, and them and Na Piarsaigh is going to be a real rivalry now over the next couple of years. And look, it's a great win for Na Piarsaigh as well, getting over Kilmallock in their semi-final as well. But I just have a feeling Doon will still have enough to get over the line. You look at even today, Ballybrown, they have some top class players in their team as well. They have Aidan O'Connor, who I rate very, very highly as well, and Colin Coughlin. Aidan O'Connor got 12 of their 14 points today. There was a heavy reliance on him, and 10 of them were free. So they only got 4 points from play. Like, that's down to Derek McGrath's absolute strict defensive, tactical side that he has. He has them down to an absolute T, defending for their lives, defending like dogs. So yeah, I've a feeling that Doon will still have enough to win the Limerick title. And I have a feeling that they will be able to knock out Ballygunner as well, because I still maintain, had they had even just another week to get themselves to get themselves ready for the Ballygunner game, then they would have won that quarter final. And who's to say they couldn't have gone on and bet Lockmore Castleiney and won the Munster title in the end. So yeah, look, it's a cracking Limerick final to look forward to again. It's a shame that it's happening. This is ironic now. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to have on at this pretty much at the same time. We're going to have the Dublin. I think the Dublin football finals in 2 weeks' time. Is it?
Yeah.
That's in 2 weeks' time. The Limerick hurling finals in 2 weeks' time. The Offaly finals in 2 weeks' time. Westmeath, Laois. I think the Cork hurling finals in 2 weeks' time. Like, there's going to be so many finals on that Sunday. Like, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. So I probably won't be able to get to watch the Limerick final, which is a shame. But no, it's going to be a cracking final. I think it's going to be one that's going to be very hard to call. But I think Doon might just be able to get themselves over the line, just because I think their defense and their attack at the moment is so perfectly balanced.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. They are something serious there, like, no question about it. Adam English is one of my favorite players in the game right now, just the way he plays. But I do agree with you. I think, having seen how close it came against Ballygunner, there was inches between them. You think about that shot that Stephen O'Keefe saved.
Yeah,
there was an ultimate reality there where Doon managed to turn them over, and that was fresh off the beer. So I think maybe this year, if they had a little bit longer, I could see them potentially turning over and winning the Munster Championship. And that prediction that you made could age like fine wine. Okay, the bus is up and running now. Let's run through it. So you got the Kerry Senior Football Championship, Dingle 219, the Gael 113, Spa 318, South Kerry 313, Kenmare Shamrocks 415, North Kerry 112. And then the Galway Senior Hurling Championship quarterfinals, St. Thomas's 118, Tommy Larkins 19 points, Loughrea 118, Clarenbridge 214, which we discussed earlier. Monaghan Senior Football Championship quarterfinals, Scottstown looking good there as well, 122 to Latin O'Reilly's 11 points. They beat them, Latin O'Reilly, sorry. The Wicklow Senior Football Championship final, I think maybe we stop off here for a little bit. Bolton Glass 120, Carnew Emmets 15 points. Fantastic win for Bolton Glass, Wicklow football champions 2025.
Yeah, fantastic win for them. 8-point victory. They were pretty much the better side throughout the entire 60 minutes. They could have no complaints. Carnew can have no complaints, to be honest with you. And it's the first title, I think, is it 6 years? I could be wrong. I think it's 6 years. The last won the title. Let's check. No, it's 5 years. Sorry, the last time they won it was 2020. So look, it's a fantastic win for them to be Carlow champions again.
Jesus Christ!
All right.
5 years ago. Yeah.
Everything. We won't talk about 5 years ago. That was a tough year for all of us, but look, fantastic for them. Great that they've got themselves over the line. So fantastic. They're going to, and generally, Wicklow clubs are always tough when they go into the Leinster Club Championship. I don't care what anyone says; they're always going to be a tough match, especially if you have to go down to Aughrim. I don't know who off the top of my head who Wicklow have to play now in the Leinster Club Championship, but Bolton Glass, they'll be a tough challenge for any team.
Absolutely, sure. I remember. I want to say it was Ratnew who defeated St. Vincent's when St. Vincent's were at their height. It was 2017, and Dermot Connolly looked like a freak in nature that year. That was the year. Do you remember he scored the goal where he ran through and someone hand passed it back to him and he just hit it on volley into the net?
Yeah.
So that was the year that Vincent's looked like the real deal to go for an All-Ireland again. It was Ratnew who got them in the Leinster Championship, and they looked really, really good. So there's no question they have to be taken serious. The next one, I know you're going to pull me up on this, but do you know what? We'll put them both together. The Offaly Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals. The one that took place today was Shinrone beating Belmont by 4-18 to 22 points. And then if the other one, I don't know if you know the other one was up, but Kilcormac 24 points, Burr 120. So our prediction for the Leinster Championship is alive and kicking. We love to see it.
Thank fuck it's alive and kicking. It's Jesus. The game today probably wasn't as much of a classic as yesterday's game between Kilcormac and Burr was absolutely outstanding game of hurling. It was a great advertisement for Offaly hurling, to be honest with you. And it could have gone either way in the end. Burr played some excellent hurling yesterday. They were absolutely fantastic. Owen Cahill had a very good performance, scored 8 points. Colin Maroney, Alvy Watkins, Luke Nolan looked absolutely sensational. Like, he was on the losing side and he got man the match on Clubber. Like, that tells you everything you need to know. He had an absolutely fantastic game. Sean Ryan, who's in his 40s now, I believe, was a long-standing Offaly hurler and footballer, had a really good game as well. So there was a lot of good performances from the Burr side, but thankfully, for my sake anyway, we managed to get ourselves over the line, and in large majority to a handful of performers. Obviously, Adam Screeney finished the game with 8 points. He got 4 from play. Jack Screeney finished with 4 points from wing forward. Jordan Quinn had a big, like, as much as I said Cahill had a good game, Jordan Quinn kept him quiet at the same time as well. He had a fantastic game for us at fullback. Keelan Kiley had a big second half. Daniel Hand worked his socks off. Colin Spain did well in patches as well. Enda Grogan was fantastic at wing back. But it was Charlie Mitchell who stole the show at the very end of the game. He got 5 points from play and he got the winning score with about 10 seconds left on the clock. I think my voice is only just recovering from shouting when the ball went over the bar and the relief we felt getting over the line. But yeah, look, great credit to Burr. They put up absolutely... What I didn't like seeing during the week was a lot of people writing off Burr, which was absolutely the wrong thing to do. Burr are 22-time Offaly champions, 8-time Leinster winners, 4-time All-Ireland winners. They're a proud club. They have a lot of great players all across their team. And they're a team that will want to be taking us down over the next couple of years. They are a top-class team, and they have a lot of good underage hurlers coming through as well. So, yeah, it's they put up a great battle to us yesterday. And had they won in the end, we'd have had no complaints, to be honest with you. They put up a savage battle. But, yeah, we managed to get over the line in the end. We're into the county final now for the 4th year in a row. We're going for 3 in a row. And for the 3rd time in 4 years, have you played Shinrone in Champa or final? Yeah, like I said here, it's going to be the 3rd time in 4 years that we're going to be playing Shinrone in a county final. They bet us in 22, we bet them in 23, and now we're playing them again this year. And yeah, against Belmont today, they were fantastic. They looked really like a proper side. They were fantastic. DJ McLaughlin had a fantastic game. Eamon Cleary made some big saves in the game, particularly from Mushin Kelly in the second half. And Killian Sampson's just having the season of his life. He's doing really, really well at centre-back for Shinrone at the moment. Owen Bailey O'Brien's doing well. Duck Morecambe's doing well. Adrian Cleary, Paul Cleary is always good for a couple of scores in a game as well. So, yeah, look, Belmont just didn't do enough over the 60 minutes. Unfortunately for them, it's another semi-final heartache for them. But, yeah, look, I actually thought Belmont might have been the ones to win this game at the start of the day, but Shinrone just absolutely dominated the game from the start to the finish. Really, they never looked like really losing the game, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's going to be Kilcormac Shinrone in 2 weeks' time. Very much looking forward to it. And look, for all the talk of especially in Offaly, that KK should be looking to win Leinsters and All-Irelands and all that, it's about winning Offaly first. And this game in 2 weeks' time is going to be a 50-50 without doubt. There's no way I'm going into this game thinking we should be winning this game by 10, 15, 20 points or anything like that. This will go right down to the wire. There'll only be a couple of scores in this game, and there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Shinrone can absolutely turn us over. But I'm hoping now that maybe after yesterday's game we can kick on now, and please God, in 2 weeks' time I'll be smiling.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, man, I'm hoping that he's winning. It's not just because I picked us to win Leinster. Also looking as well at the Antrim Senior Hurling Championship, just interesting, worth mentioning, they have their final as well. St. John's are going to go in against Lochiel, Shamrocks, Dunloy and Rory Óg Cushendall, both out of the championship. St. John's beat Rory Óg 126-122 after extra time. That was on Saturday. And in today's game, Lochiel Shamrocks 320, Dunloy 222. So 2 crackers there. Then the Laois final has been confirmed as well. It will be Clock Balacolla against Cam Ross. Clock beat Ballinakill 323 points after extra time. So obviously Clock showed them a clean pair of heels in additional time, whereas Cam Ross had a lot more straightforward against Rathdowney Errol, 221-15 points. The Derry Senior Hurling Championship final, as you were mentioning, Slotneil, unbelievable achievement. What's that? You said 13 Derry titles in a row now? Or?
Yeah, 13,
unbelievable stuff. 324-110, they beat Kevin Lynch's by, and like you're looking there, it's very similar to Ballygunner, that the gaps aren't getting smaller. Like they're getting wider in these finals. They have an unquestioned dominance there in the Derry Hurling Championship. Fermanagh football semi-finals, Erin Gales Balik beat Aderney St. Joseph's 211 to 210, while Derry Donnelly Harps flattened Timor Shamrocks, to be honest, 316 to 8 points. So it's Derry Donnelly Harps against Erin Gales Balik in the Fermanagh Senior Football Championship final. In tip football, Lockmore Castellani beat Ballina 318 to 11 points. Clonmel Commercials beat Mull Rovers after extra time, 25 points to a goal and 19. Kilsheal and Kilcash beat JK Brackens 2-9 to 7 points. While in the relegation semi-final, Killinall beat Cahir by 314 to 1-5 to save themselves. And that is today's games in tip. Will come to Saturday and Friday's games later. In the Wexford football quarterfinals today, Killenarin beat Crossabeg 517 to 212, while Shelmaliers beat Naylana 21 points to 111. Ballinamore, Sean O'Heslan's qualified for, I don't know, I think Matthew has a typo. I don't know if Ballinamore or Fina won the Leitrim semi-final. He has it 121 to 121 after extra time. So I don't know if it's a replay or what, but to be honest, I haven't been able to check what happened with that one. Carlow Senior Football Semi-Final, Old Lakeland 310, Palatine 17 points. London Semi-Finals, Tyrconnell Gales 116, Round Towers 6 points. North London Shamrocks 116, Fulham Irish 16 points. London Relegation Playoff, Dulwich Harps 112, Parnells 111. And Waterford quarterfinal, Abbeyside beat on Ryan by 14 points to 12. Meath Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals, Kiltal 220, Kilmessan 13 points, while Ratoath beat Trim 518 to 22 points. In the Tyrone Hurling final, Éire Óg 215, Owen Rua 18 points. Cork Senior LGFA final finished as a draw, Éire Óg 10 points, Agada 1-7. Tipperary Senior LGFA final, Brian Barrows beat Fethard 3-4 to 1-7. And the Galway Senior Camogie quarterfinal, Davits 116, Ardrahan 114. More in the comments. My goodness, this is still Sunday. How is this going to do this? On top of that, Clare Senior LGFA final, Kilmihill 115, the Banner 1-8. Limerick Senior LGFA is Monaga against St. Albies, and that's still ongoing after Matthew put that one up. The Loud Senior LGFA final, then St. Feckin's 1-9, St. Patrick's 5 points, and that is Sunday over. And the bus is still going as we roll into Saturday's results. Kerry Senior Football Championship, East Kerry 323, Temple No 110, Austin Stacks 429, Milltown Castlemaine 17 points, Mid Kerry 38, Dr. Crokes 15 points. Then the Galway Senior Hurling Championship quarter-finals, Crockwell 224, Sarsfields 319 after extra time, Turlockmore 516, Oranmore Marie 21 points, while the relegation playoff in Galway finished Ardrahan 119, Kilconeran 13 points. Then we have the Monaghan Senior Football Championship quarterfinal, Mahara Clune 214, Corduff 1-5, Loud Senior Football quarterfinal replay, Nave Martin 116, St. Patrick's 12 points. Tip football quarterfinal, the final one out of the four, Upper Church Drumbain beat a Harlow by 111 to 5 points, while in the relegation semi-final on the Saturday, Grange Mockler beat Arravale Rovers by 314 to 1-5. And then in the other semi-final in Leitrim Gales beat Mohill by 414 to 3-7. So there the champions are gone. St. Mogs beat Rapparees in the relegation playoff in Wexford. And the Carlow Senior Football semi-final, Rathvilly beat Bagenalstown Gales. Oh no, that one finished a draw. Apologies. 14 points to 111. In the Waterford quarter-final, Gaultier beat Clashmore Kinsalbeg by 119 to 13 points. The Meath Senior LGFA final. Stop the bus. Okay. Dunshaughlin 4-11, Dunboyne 2 goals and 8 points. Dunshaughlin are the Meath Senior LGFA champions 2025.
Yeah, and in very, very convincing fashion as well. Jesus, like that's a big hammering for a county final. But 3 in a row for them. Probably no surprise to a degree. Maybe a surprise with the final scoreline, anyways. But fantastic win for Dunshaughlin Royal Gales. The only thing is the game was effectively over by half time. It was 3-9 to 1-1 at the break, which is just it's tough going into, like, what in a way, what do you say to your players at halftime when you're getting bet by that much in a county final? Yeah. You know, it must be a bit demoralizing in a way, and especially I can imagine the wind yesterday was probably very, very bad up in Meath as well with Storm Amy. So I can't imagine the players would have wanted to go back out for the second half. But look, they did, and they put up a respectful fight in the second. I think it was actually a draw in the second half when you do the maths. Yeah, it was 1-6 each in the second half. So I suppose great credit to Dunboyne there. But yeah, look, it was never going to be anything but a Dunshaughlin victory. Anyway, Sarah Wall opened the scoring for Dunboyne, but Maeve Byrne hit back, but then Ciara Gorman, Rachel Doonan, and Gorman again struck for goals in that one. Anna Kane had netted earlier as well. But yeah, strong performance from them. Emma Duggan finished with 4 points. Annie Moffat finished with 1-1, leading to a Dunboyne rally. But yeah, look, fantastic win for them. You'd be probably ranking them as a team that could do something in the Leinster Championship. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to come to it next when we talk about the Dublin final on the Friday. But like, you're looking for me at Kilmacud Crokes and Dunshaughlin as the two front runners to win the Leinster LGFA Championship. They'd be the ones I'm looking at. Very impressed by Dunshaughlin, especially Niamh Gallagher. Peter Griffin dropped it in. She got a super goal and player of the match in this game. She's a fantastic player. She had a fantastic year at inter-county level for me. She was particularly impressive kind of around the middle, especially in that semi-final against Kerry. I thought she got through Trojan work. So she's definitely one to watch. And Kilmacud Crokes, the thing is though, is like, just from being there at both finals last year, Sylvester's through the kitchen sink and more Kilmacud. There was in neither game did you think Sils could have done more there. Sils let themselves down there. Sils left it all out on the field, and like, it was the type that I know I picked Sylvester's to beat Kilmacud. I know I did. But it was the type that, like, even though I got that prediction wrong, it was one of those where you get it wrong, but you don't feel stupid for getting that one wrong.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's not like when I picked Tyrone to beat Kerry and then Kerry went out and bet the living daylights out of them. I felt stupid for picking Tyrone in that one. But Sylvester's had shown enough in last year's final, and they showed enough in this final to say that they could probably beat Kilmacud on a given day. But Kilmacud are so fucking good. It's just, they figured it out in the second half, and we'll get to it, but they figured it out in the second half because the wind in Parnell Park was so strong that Kilmacud had to go through the hands a lot in the first half, and they got a crucial goal in the first half with a beautiful move that started in defence, moved all the way upfield, and Michelle Davin finished to the net. And that was crucial for them, because then in the second half it meant that Sylvester's, against the wind, were still chasing the game. And I think that's where they lost it. They had their backs up against the wall. But then in the second half, Kilmacud went direct into Michelle Davern a few times. She got a few nice points, nearly got another goal. It was her getting the sin bin yellow card that gave Sylvester's a chance. That gave them a chance to get back into the game, because it gave them a player extra on the field. But it also meant that Kilmacud's out ball to the full forward line was gone. That direct ball into Michelle Davern, and she was out in front every time. That meant that was gone. And there's no question about it. The game turned there, but Kilmacud, being the team they are, they hung on, and players like Ava Rutledge, who's captain, she was amazing. But we'll come back to that game later, because we are going to move through the rest of the game. So moving on then, taking off from the Meath Senior LGFA Final, massive congratulations to Dunshaughlin. But the Donegal LGFA Final, Glen Finn 2-8, Termon 5 points. Kilkenny Senior Camogie Semi-Finals, Dixborough 2-11, Tullaroan 8 points. Pilltown 3-13, St. Bridget's 10 points. So my pick to win the All-Ireland, Dixborough, are into the Kilkenny final, where they will play against Pilltown. Galway Senior Camogie quarterfinal, Clare Bridge, Carrie Dolan's team, 112, Mullet 110. So they are into the semi-finals. The Down Senior Camogie semi-finals, Clonduff 216, Ballycran 112, St. Pat's Portaferry 114, Leitrim Fontenoys 6 points. The Offaly Senior LGFA final.
I'll just give a quick mention to this, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Ballamere Doro are the Offaly ladies football champions, and it's for the first time ever, defeating Naomh Kieran, getting revenge on them from last year as well. And pretty much a deserved victory, to be honest with you. Despite conceding an early penalty, Ballamere recovered quickly and took control. They led 1-6 to 1-3 at the break. Naomh Kieran cut the lead to 1 in the second half, but there was 2 quick goals from Tracy Bracken and Jane Maher around the 40th minute mark with about 20 minutes to go, and it swung the momentum back to them. And yeah, Naomh Kieran kind of only have themselves to blame. They went 17 minutes without a score, which is going to kill any team in any game, no matter even if it's a final. So Maeve Mealiff as well had a big game in goals as well for Ballymere as well. So yeah, Sarah Doyle finished with 1-5. She's a terrific footballer, so she was instrumental for Ballymere here. And yeah, look, Nave Kieran, in fairness to them, they don't owe their club. Those players don't owe their club anything. They'd won 9 of the last 10 titles in the Offaly Championship, including the last 3 in a row. They've been ever present in the Leinster Championship over the last couple of years as well. So yeah, look, it's not an end of an era or anything like that, but it's obviously the end of their hopes of winning the championship this year. But there's no doubt that they'll be back again next year with the likes of Emma Cahill, the likes of Ellie McAvoy, the likes of Lucy Flynn, who got 1-4 on the day. So yeah, look, great win for Ballymere. Congratulations to them.
Absolutely, fair play to them. And we're going to move through the gears again. The Fermanagh Senior LGFA final, Derry Connolly Harps 2-12, Kinali 3-5. So Derry Connolly there potentially doing the double there in the football. They're in the men's final as well, coming up soon. Wexford Senior LGFA final, Killanarnan 1-4, Adamstown 4 points. I'm guessing the weather there was shite as well. The Carlow Senior LGFA final, Old Lakeland 2-7, Bennekerry Tinnerland 2-5. Roscommon Senior Camogie semi-final, St. Dominic's 1-13, Adelaide 2-8 after extra time, Oran 1-8, 4 roads, a goal and 7. And that is Saturday's results wrapped up. Friday's results. We're into the home stretch here, my friend. Wexford Senior Football Championship quarter-final, Castletown Lean Mellows 121, Buncloddy 112. Down Senior Football Championship relegation playoff, Bryansford beat Leitrim Fontenoys 5-18 to 2-13. That was actually on Thursday. The Meath Senior Hurling Championship relegation playoff, Dundee beat Clondegale by 4-14 to 1-13. The Waterford Senior LGFA final, Comer Rangers 4-11, Ballymacarbery 7 points. Me and Liam, let's skip that stop. Fair play to Comer Rangers, but me and Liam's pick for Munster has been dumped out. The Kildare Senior LGFA final, St. Lawrence's 9 points, Edestown 6 points, and I am going to stop the bus right here at the Dublin Senior LGFA final, a game I was honoured to be on commentary for. Kilmacud Crokes 111, St. Sylvester's 12 points. Kilmacud Crokes write themselves into the history books, completing the 4 in a row in the Dublin LGFA Championships. Sylvester's threw the kitchen sink and more at them. They nearly pushed it to extra time at the end. Kate Sullivan flashed the shot up and over the bar. Played in very, very tough conditions. It was a really, really gripping contest. For the second year in a row, these two teams went at it hammer and tongs, and they definitely bring out the best in each other. But Kilmacud Crokes just are unbelievable champions. It's so hard to dethrone them. Sylvester threw everything at them. Kate Sullivan was brilliant. Sinead Ahern was superb. Danielle Lawless was fantastic. But Kilmacud Crokes, especially the likes of Alva Davern and Captain Ava Rutledge, who chipped in with 4 points, just led from the front. And the goal from Michelle Davern at the time that they got it, especially considering that it was in the first half against a strong wind. It was a brilliant move, started from defence, went all the way up to the other end of the pitch and into the net. You knew when they got that it was vital, because then, while you knew it was important that they got that when they did, because then in the second half, when Kilmacud had the wind now, Sylvester's had to come out and go at them because their backs were against the wall because they were behind. So when they got that goal, it was unbelievably important for Kilmacud Crokes. And there's no doubt about it. Kilmacud Crokes have unfinished business with the club championships. They want an All-Ireland, and they're going to use, in my opinion, the Dublin Championship as a springboard for further success. I think if anyone can stop them in Leinster, I would tip Dunshaughlin to be the team to do that, especially after their really impressive victory over Dunboyne in the Meath final. And obviously there is huge upsets that can happen, but I think Kilmacud Crokes are a serious force to be reckoned with, and they have their eye on potentially taking the All-Ireland crown off Kilcarran Clonberne.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's a fantastic win for them, winning 4 in a row in Dublin as well, which is not easy to do. And look, it's a good sign from Sylvester's as well that they're getting closer and closer. And look, maybe next year they'll be able to bridge the gap, because I've no doubt they'd love to burst the bubble of 5 in a row next year anyway. But yeah, look, fair play to Kilmacud Crokes, and fair play to both the teams as well. I'd seen the clips on LinkedIn and senior commentary as well, which well done, absolutely unreal commentary. But yeah, look, the conditions that the players had to play in, I think it showed their determination more than anything, to be honest with you, to be playing out in that storm that we all had on Friday night. So fair play to them for that. But yeah, look, Kilmacud Crokes, they're a force to be reckoned with, and they'll be a team that will take a lot of stopping going into both the Leinster Championship and the All-Ireland Series. And yeah, look, fair play to them. It's unfortunate for Sylvesters. They're getting closer and closer every single year. And look, it's unfortunate for them that this year it's another year of so close, but yet so far. But look, I've no doubt that they'll take a lot of lessons from Friday night's game, and they'll think, okay, we know what we need to do now. We know the level we're going to get to. It's just a kick of a ball. Like then they got 12 points over Kilmacud. They got 11, and it's just a goal that separates them. And like you said, goals win matches. So, but yeah, look, big congratulations to Kilmacud. And yeah, look, I've no doubt that Kate Sullivan and Sylvesters will be back again next year.
And there's no question they'll be back again next year, because what was very interesting, was a really interesting insight. Michelle Daverin came up for an interview with us in the gantry when the game was finished, and we were chatting to her about it's an incredible achievement. You're going up there, with the dynasties of the Foxrock Cabinteelys and stuff like that. And Michelle answered with, well, for years they were trying to beat Foxrock Cabinteely. And this is the Foxrock team that had the likes of Sinead Goldrick and everything like that. And it took Kilmacud Crokes a long time to actually beat and dethrone Foxrock Cabinteely. So St. Sylvester's find themselves in that position now, where Kilmacud Crokes are the monster that they're trying to slay. And the reality is if they can get over the line, then they might get the and they might be like Nafina and the Hurling, where all of a sudden then it's impossible to get the crown off them. So it's just that glass ceiling that has proven time and time again for so many teams to be so difficult to break. But I've no doubt that Sylvesters will be back. As for Kilmacud Crokes, they feel like they've unfinished business. They were heartbroken in last year's All-Ireland club final against Kilkerran-Clonberne. Kilkerran-Clonberne are the most dominant champions that we have in the club game right now. 4 in a row at the All-Ireland level. Absolutely crazy dominance that they have. And I think Kilmacud Crokes, I would say, if I had to pick now, because I have picked Kilkerran to win the All-Ireland, but I think if anybody can stop them, Kilmacud Crokes will be top of my list in terms of teams that I think are capable on a given day to beat Kilkerran, because I think Kilkerran are so good. I'm still making them favourites, but if anybody can beat them, it's Kilmacud, but it will be some battle if we get to see it. And yeah, Peter has asked here, says, Seamus, can you please go back on the Kildare LGFA results? Were Eadstown beaten? Eadstown were beaten. St. Lawrence's are the Kildare senior LGFA champions. They beat Eadstown by 9 points to 6 on Friday evening. And before we wrap up, Liam, I'd be very, very interested to get your take as well. I mean, we were, absolutely delighted in the group chat. The Special Congress 2025 victory for the F4C. All of the new Gaelic football rules have been passed, most of them comfortably over 90%. It's a victory for Gaelic football, man. I genuinely like when they, because Gaelic football was so much more enjoyable.
Yeah,
this year, so much more enjoyable. Like last minute, I went to because I didn't know if I was around today, and all of a sudden, I actually was able to go, and I was delighted that I could go to the Dublin football semi-finals, and I was there. And what was amazing was Ballybowden and Coola was a fucking brilliant game. Yeah, it was genuinely like unbelievable. Like, because you were so convinced that Coola were going to win, then bang, Ballybowden get a goal, and then they get another point. Like. And it's so end to end. It was almost one of them table football games. And the gassing is walking out of the ground. I was saying to myself, that last year, that game would have been shit.
Yeah.
That game would have been hand pass, maybe a few minutes. But any momentum, it would have been stopped by a 3-minute spell in possession.
Yeah.
So thank God for Jim Gavin. Thank God for the F4C committee. Thank God for the people that changed the rules of Gaelic football, and in my opinion, saved Gaelic football.
Yeah, no, Gaelic football last season was so much more enjoyable to watch this year than it had ever been, to be honest with you. It was just easier to watch. Like, even, do you know what it was? Even I saw a lot of people even complaining about the All-Ireland football final. I think it was only because it wasn't in the end competitive between the two sides. But like in terms of quality, I think we saw one of the best finals in years, just because some of the scores that were on display, some of the movement that was on display, and you had athletes at the absolute top of their game playing free-flowing football, allowed to play their football. And like, it was a cracking championship. We had look, I know obviously from a dub it wasn't nice for you to lose the Leinster championship, but like, you saw the effect of the new rules. Like, teams now believe they could beat Dublin in the Leinster Championship. I thought the Ulster Championship was a cracking championship. Monaghan Donegal was a cracking game. Armagh Donegal was unbelievable. Armagh Tyrone was absolutely bonkers. You had Meath reaching the All-Ireland semi-finals. Louth winning the Leinster Championship. a resurgent David Clifford absolutely stole the show this year with the new rules. Like Kerry put, what was it, 30 points plus over Armagh? Was it 34 in the end or something like that?
Yeah, 32.
32 points. Like, just that wouldn't have happened last year or the year before, you know. So no, and as an Offaly fan, I was delighted with the rules because we got promoted to Division 2. So yeah, no, it was a brilliant year of football. I really, really enjoyed it. And even in the club scene this year, we've had a lot more enjoyable games, I think, this year, because teams are playing a lot more advanced football than they have been over the last number of years. And like I mentioned there, cracking football in Dublin today. I was doing a football match in Offaly last week. It was a cracking game as well. There's been cracking games all over the country in terms of football. So yeah, no, look, once we get to watch the same football we did this year, next year and the year after, then I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with it, man. Like the one motion 55-56 was the clock hooter system that passed by 67%. That was the closest one to not passing. But the reality is I am in favor of the clock hooter system. I think we've seen too many examples of controversy over how much added time there is. And yeah, we might have had a couple of people not being too sure about the hooter this year, but we didn't have any controversy about time. There was nobody saying there should have been more minutes, there should have been less minutes, everything like that. So I think over time they'll get better at the clock and the hooter, and it would be worth keeping. But I'm delighted that everybody was unanimous about this, that this is like, it's a good thing for Gaelic football. We're here. You know, we've got a better game now. I'm glad that we're all here on the same page, because what you pay in for is you pay in to see the best players in the country playing their stuff. You tune in to see David Clifford. You pay in to see Michael Murphy, Shane Walsh, Paul Mannion. These are the people that you want to see strutting their stuff at the top level. You know, you pay in to see these guys. Hurling, Camogie, you're paying in. You want to see the likes of Beck Carton. You want to see the likes of Alan Connolly. You want to see the likes of these players strutting their stuff, doing their thing. You don't want to see defensive systems. I couldn't give a fuck about seeing defensive systems. I'm not paying €80 to go and sit in an All-Ireland final and watch 14 men behind the ball. And I get that it's not their fault. I completely agree. It's not their fault. Once they get to that stage, play the game as it is and try win it. Yeah, absolutely. But the game needs to be set up in a way that rewards talent, skill, and unbelievable moments, because that's what the fans want to see. And the attendances went up this year. That's no coincidence. We had a better game, a better product, and over the next years, it's only going to get better. And I am buzzing for that. So, Jim Gavin, thank you very much. That could mean something else in a few weeks if he's voted president. But yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, I know. We won't go into politics. Fuck that. Anyway, thank you so much to Liam for jumping on with me for another episode here on Cúilín Media. Thank you so much as well to everybody that commented throughout the episode, to Peter Griffin, to John O'Keenahan, to Aidan, to Garrett O'Gregor, Porrig Lennon, Smart Parents 812, and more. You all made the show one of the most enjoyable ones we've done on Cúilín Media. I know that for a fact. We got through a lot. But until the next time, we'll be back here on Thursday for a weekend preview show and running through the GA news as well. And just as a little nugget, Liam, as well, Conor McKenna was back playing with his club in Tyrone. So could we see Conor McKenna return to the Tyrone team? Who knows? We'll discuss further in Thursday's episode. But until then, Torara, and enjoy yourselves. Follow your instinct.